So Graham, where does the ORS story actually begin for you?
Oh, look, it started, my kids were pretty young. I think I've got three boys. They're up around, at the time they were, I don't know, 8 to 10 range. And we were sitting around the kitchen table and they're talking about their mates that have got a V8 and another one's got a WRX and this one can do 200 kilometres an hour. And I was sitting there listening to this conversation thinking, oh, this is not the way I want it to go. And so I decided I'd get them out and go camping and see if I could head them in a different direction. And that, I have to say, worked very well because it did change their thinking and it made a huge difference to our life as a family as well. But we started going out. I bought an old four-wheel drive, an old Land Cruiser, and we started going out every couple of weeks and camping, and it was just great for the kids. They just really came out, and they all learnt to drive out on the four-wheel drive track instead of on the highway.
So how did that weave into the business that we see?
Oh, look, I run a cabinet making business, and I had planned originally to go and buy a set of drawers, and then I thought, no, I'll make a set. And of course, the first set I made were over-engineered and too heavy and too bulky, so and I got busy and just started redesigning it, and it took a few, but eventually put a set in the car, and then being in the four-wheel drive club, a few of the members wanted me to make them some, and so I did, and then it just sort of took off from there.
And I guess, Graham, the difference that I'm seeing between the ORS product and a lot of others out there is a lot of others, they come, they can be DIY assembled, whatever, but they've, it's a bit of a case of that's our drawers, like 'em or lump 'em. Whereas what I've found coming through your doors is, what do you want, Pat? Where do you want your battery? What sort of, do you want a fridge box? What sort of latches do you want? Do you want a table to slide out? It seems to be sort of endlessly customisable.
Well, we tried to attack it in a couple of ways, but yes, we do have a range of standard options, but we designed the system so that we could modify those standards to help with the customisation. Now, back in that early part of our history, it was a lot of standards with a few modifications. These days, it's a few standards with a lot of modifications. It really has changed, and people are very specific about what they want. And and I have to say it works well with our customers because they, if they've got something special in mind, we can work with it if it's possible. We can talk to them about it and work out whether it is feasible or not. Find out what sort of touring they're planning to do, so we know what level of system to put in.
So, mate, can you walk me through some of the features in your drawers? Because they are definitely different to others I've seen on the market.
Number one, we do all our drawer systems in aluminium. When we do have an option, galvanised steel or aluminium.
It's obviously a great weight saving. In something like the Everest, what sort of weight would I be adding when I'm putting in these drawers?
If your vehicle's a 7-seater and we're taking a couple of seats out, it's unlikely you're actually adding any weight at all, because most of our aluminium systems fit within the weight range of the 2 seats you're pulling out.
Wow.
And possibly even less.
That's incredible.
For a standard 2-drawer system, it would be less.
That's got to be the only four-wheel drive accessory I know of that actually reduces the weight on your four-wheel drive. And I notice you use these slide bolts. And what's the reason for that?
It's probably not the best looking, but it's the most practical for me. And it was something where one of our main features was being simple. And the idea behind that lock is that there's no actual mechanism inside the drawer. So it locks externally. It's easy to get in. You can see when it is or it isn't. There's nothing going to jam it up. If you're on a bumpy corrugated road and things inside your drawer actually get involved with the mechanism, there's a potential for that lock to fail. And it also chews up generally the internal locks chew up a fair bit of internal space. we can remove our dividers, but this liner, which is all marine carpet, is fully removable. So if you have a spill in here, you can just take this out and give it a gurney, a wash with a hose on the concrete, clean it up, put it back. That bump you can hear here, that's a little spring stopper we put in there that just stops that drawer from rolling closed on a, if you're on a downhill incline, and it'll just hold it open for you, and you just bump over that.
And speaking of practical, mate, you've got other really practical stuff here. I mean, takes up not a lot of room, but, table, chopping board, whatever you like.
Exactly. I mean, you throw your cooker up there, it still works with the drawer, so you can have a little tabletop simply up here. You can run your little cooker, make your sandwiches, boil the billy, and prep up your quick lunch, depending on the sort of trip you're doing. If you're doing desert type trips, your rest times, your stop times are short because you tend to do a lot of kilometres in a day, and when you do stop for a break, it's usually not for very long. So you need to be able to get your stuff out, get it made, make your cuppa, make your sandwich, get back in the car and keep going.
Mate, I've got to say, one of the things I'm most excited about with my builds is the fridge house. Because the number of times that I have pulled my fridge out and just watched everything collapse into that fridge void and the frustrations of that on the road.
Well, it serves that purpose, of course, with the protection of stuff falling in over the top, which means it doesn't matter how much you pack your car, and we all pack them to the roof, you can pull up, fridge comes out, you get something out of it any time without having to rearrange anything, and it just works well. But the big advantage on top of that is that that's going to insulate. Also stops your fridge getting knocked around, which I notice yours has taken a few hits.
It certainly has, yeah, definitely, it does, yeah. Where do you think the Aussie four-wheel drive touring industry sits in the world, context these days?
Australians are pretty good at coming up with good ideas, and you see that every time you go to a campground. You see new ideas and great ideas, and some are a bit over the top, but generally speaking, we're pretty good at that. And it's great. Like, I love being an Australian manufacturer, and I've tried, with all of the product that we make here, we try, if we can't make it, we try to buy it within the country. There's a few things that you just physically can't, but that's always going to happen. But generally speaking, everything here we make. We make all our own. We make all our own drawers. We make our fridge slides. We make our water tanks, and we make everything ourselves if we can. So being an Australian manufacturer is not an easy task. There's a lot of pretty serious, cheap opposition out there. But we try to win by being better.